Okay, it's Saturday. Um, Saturday, September 20th. I'm here. This place, I think this is Barrio Logan, Julian. Anyway, Lucha Libre. I'm going. Bought a ticket. It was a bit more than I would want to pay. I usually pay 40 bucks, but and it's kind of early in the day, or maybe it's not going to start for a while. But anyway, this is the video lecture for new stuff about the music industry. Fall 2025, new stuff about the music industry, while Professor Arsenault is doing Lucha Libre or watching. Oh, this looks. Yeah, this is going to be good. I think this is going to be good. It's going to be really good. Hello, students. This is the substantive part of the video lecture. The stuff that's going to be in the lecture notes and the stuff that's probably going to be on the quiz. Okay, here we have data from the midpoint of 2025. I'm recording this video lecture again for fall 2025, JMS 200. Here's data from halfway through the year from RIAA. I don't know what it stands for off the top of my head. Bad professor, I should know. Recording Industry of America, something like that. It's the music industry. This is the official data from the music industry. And like every industry, certainly every media industry wants to promote itself and claim it's the greatest thing since sliced bread, and it's growing and growing, and it's really wonderful. And here we have the RIAA touting that America is the largest exporter of music. The largest exporter of music and Hollywood films. That's one thing we're good at exporting. Now we have some data about finances. Okay, I know there's a lot of data right here. I'll put the important notes, the important data in the lecture notes. But basically, streaming is where it's at. Streaming is generating like almost 90% of the profits for the music industry now. And this, if you look at this for the first half of 2025 compared to the first half of 2024, it's gone up, but it's like 4.6, let's say 4.7 billion. $4.7 billion comes from streaming, and you have different types of streaming, different categories of streaming. And that's really the bulk of the revenue. Total digital revenue is 4.8 billion. So, okay, if streaming is almost 4.7 billion and total digital revenue is 4.8 billion, that's only like $100 million come from like digital downloads where people are paying to download a copy of the song or the music video, not streaming it to actually pay for it to own it. That's a very, very fringe practice. That's not done. Streaming is clearly where it's at. Now, for people who actually move myself, people who actually like to buy music, vinyl is the number one format. This surprises me. I remember when CDs overtook vinyl or were said to replace vinyl. So it's 22 million units, 22 million albums sold, only, 11.7, maybe 12 million CDs sold. And again, we're comparing the first half of 2025 to the first half of 2024. Other physical, I don't know what that means. Cassette, I can't imagine people buying cassettes. I guess some people are, but if it's not cassette, I don't know what the other format is that people are buying. And look, if streaming is making 4.7 billion, physical formats a mere 576 million. So some people are still buying physical formats. Okay, I think physical formats occupy, let's say, 10% of music industry revenue. 10% of it is from a physical format. Let's say 90% of it's from streaming, a little bit from other things as well. But within the physical formats, vinyl is better than CD, okay, or selling more. Now, okay, I know that this data here is probably old and it's probably dated, but I do bring it up because I think it is illustrative of a trend here. When streaming services do pay artists for their music, they don't pay very much. They pay not even a penny. They pay a very, very small fraction of a penny. And it's the same with radio airplay as well. Sometimes it's the music publisher who gets the money. Sometimes it's the performer. The performer and the publisher may not be the same person. So here, and I know this is old, right? But Napster was paying this much, and then Tidal was paying that much. And then look at YouTube. YouTube, I mean, you got to have like millions and millions of YouTube views before you're going to get any money, before you're going to pay your rent. Okay. I don't even know what Deezer is. Is that still around? Is Deezer still around? Anyway, the point is that, if you're an artist and you get your songs played on a streaming service, you do get some money, but it's not even a penny. It's not even close to a penny. It's only people like Taylor Swift or Beyonce who are making, or Bad Bunny or Morgan Wallen, who are making a lot of money from this. Okay, students, this is the part of the video lecture where I brought in a guest expert to help me out. She was a student of mine, I think, last semester, still an SDSU student.
A lot of your students may have seen me from TikTok. I made a lot of SDSU related TikToks. I post every single day. And the reason I started it in the first place was just to build a following because that's what everybody around me had told me. Like, this is the only way to get into the music industry nowadays and see some form of success. And so I've been building that.
So what
Uh,
is your TikTok handle? What is it called? Name, brand, whatever.
it's Samara Leilani, just
Oh,
my name. Yeah, my first
okay.
and middle name. Um, but yeah,
I'll put that on the
I
screen right
just
here. I'll put that on the screen right here.
Okay, awesome. I devoted myself to TikTok, as I'm sure a lot of people know. I recently just hit 100,000 followers, which was awesome, and got verified. And the hard work is paying off. But now it's time to like start introducing, like, okay, I'm a singer. And I actually today just signed with a management company, which I'm very excited for, and they're going to help me get all that figured out as well. Um, so I'm moving in the right direction in terms of that. But the music industry is something that has been changing at a rapid pace for the past few years, and everybody on the inside is kind of freaking out. Lizzo actually posted a video on TikTok on September 5th about this, and she talks about how um, nobody knows right now who the big artists are that are releasing music because everything is so algorithm based, and that is the way uh, TikTok has made things. Because from the TikTok algorithm, other social media apps started seeing how well that worked for them and how they were able to get so many viewers to stay on the app for such long periods of time because of the dopamine hits with the way the scrolling works and having stuff curated to you. And there's no more mainstream anything anymore unless you're Sabrina Carpenter. And so it's a really interesting time that we're seeing because
I just want
we're
to
coming.
I want to
Yeah,
interrupt for a moment. Pull back to
yeah,
see. Let's go back to like the classic old world model. My understanding was there were three or four music labels, no more than five, I think, that dominated the industry. And is that right?
yeah,
And they own the artist and the distribution, and you're
yes.
saying that
So
they're no longer the major players.
they are, but the way this works is so there's the big three. We have Sony, Warner, and Universal, and they, for years, have dominated everyone and everything in the industry. And they have the A-list artists. They make people stars. And the perks of that is they have the massive budget to pour into people like that they saw potential in, and they have access to the best songwriters, best producers, best marketing in the industry, and they will make you a star if you were signed to any of those. And they see it in you, they will make you a star. The issue with them is the contract that you are tied down to. Like, God only knows what those look like, because that can dictate your livelihood. It can dictate how often you're doing shows, even if you're unwell. You only get like 10 to 20% of what you make. It's not, you get the fame, you don't necessarily get all of the fortune. You will if you're a very, very massive star, but if you're just starting out for the first few years and they're trying to get the ball rolling on who you are, you're not going to reap the benefits for a very long time.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
But more people are doing just like self-produced or self-released or
Yeah, so let's talk about independent labels and DIY artists, because independent labels are the smaller, like indie type labels that still give some of the benefits of a large label, but they don't have all of the resources in the world and all of the connections in the world. It's more ideal for people who are locally based or in a certain niche scene in the music industry. It works out really, really well for them, and the artists generally have more creative freedom. They get a bigger cut of what they make, and it's overall great for like an artist that is part of a specific group, whatever that group may be. Just something that's not going to necessarily be mainstream music, but they will have like a really hardcore fan base, if that makes sense.
okay. So what are you trying to do? You want to get famous on TikTok, and then you want to get on a major label? Do you want to just like create your own label?
Yeah, so I don't know my next steps, honestly, because then we have DIY artists, and
Okay.
this is like the third tier of people. And I think this is more where I align with. DIY artists keep 100% of what they make, but they have to put in all of the hard work themselves. They have to market themselves, they have to grow themselves. And that's kind of the approach I've taken is I've marketed myself, grown myself. I'm trying to make myself a personality first and like a face people can recognize before I release more music, because music is so freaking expensive to make if you are not being funded. It is so expensive to just book studio time. And then you have to find a producer, and then you have to find somebody that can mix and master. And it is really, really, really expensive just coming out of pocket. So, my approach to this is let me build up who I am first and then reintroduce music back into what I do and what I'm pursuing, and I can familiarize my followers with, hey, like I do sing. Hey, I'm actually releasing a song, and then we can see how that works out for me. Because the thing is, I'm on an even playing field as the same people that are signed with Sony and Universal now because of the way this algorithm works. And there's nothing anybody can do about it because the way that this all works now, it's in the hands of the consumer. It's all about what people want to interact with, what sounds people want to make videos with. And that's how the stuff trends now. You could shove all the money in the world to market one song, but if the people aren't going to use it, you just wasted a ton of money. So it doesn't really matter if you're getting signed to these big labels or not anymore, because the TikTok algorithm and this algorithm that other social media platforms are copying, that is the new marketing and it's free. So you just have to kind of put stuff out and see what sticks.
Y lo traigo ya en la mira para hablar ante espalda. Okay, that was guest expert Samara Leilani. That's what she calls herself on TikTok now. But let's get into some other stuff. This is a mid-year music report. Again, this is halfway through 2025. We don't have the year end 2025. This trade group, Illuminate, has some reports. I thought this is pretty interesting. There's this documentary. I haven't seen it yet. Becoming Led Zeppelin. And you don't have to know this. This is not on the quiz. This is not on the quiz. I'm just sharing it because I think it's interesting. Try to make the class interesting. Okay. Don't ask me, is this going to be on the quiz? Just it's interesting. Learn stuff because you want to be an intelligent human being, not because it's going to make you get an A on a quiz. Okay. But I digress. Okay. What we're looking at here is charting on-demand audio streams of Led Zeppelin and how it was influenced by the release of that documentary, Becoming Led Zeppelin. I should see Becoming Led Zeppelin. I did see a documentary about a guy who's a Jimmy Page impersonator. Basically, he plays guitar like Jimmy Page, like you wouldn't believe. I did see that. Okay. And then now we have same thing. Lisa, I think she was in that group Pink Black, right? I'm right on that. I'm right. I know it's Blackpink. You guys are screaming at your computers right now. Blackpink, you dummy. Okay, she was in Blackpink, Lisa. She was also in White Lotus, which I haven't seen, and they're charting the release of some of Lisa's albums or whatever songs in relation to how many minutes White Lotus season 3 was streamed. And I guess Lisa got a little bump. I guess she got a little bump, not a huge bump, but I guess she got a huge bump. I think it's kind of interesting when you can see how TV shows or movies kind of boost artist popularity. Now we're looking, I think I went over this earlier in the different video lecture, but here we get top 10 songs, looking just at streaming for 2025 or halfway through 2025. We got Lady Gaga, Bruno Mars, Rose. Is it Rose? It's not Rose. Rose? Rose? Okay. Bruno Mars, Billie Eilish, and then Kendrick Lamar says, oh, and there we have Bad Bunny. Yeah, very Bad Bunny. Esa es mi bandera, yo la levanto por donde quiera, verde, blanco, rojo hasta que muera, el barrio prendido ya quemó afuera. Me voy tendido, me voy empinando mi bote, un poco mareado por la bebida y el borlote, me tiene hasta la riata la gente con su mitote, pero me despreocupo, me pelan todo el garrote. Now we have top albums. Morgan Wallen. Yeah, when you calculate all the music industry is very can be confusing. There's physical units, there's streaming. When you calculate all that stuff, when you kind of crunch it together, Morgan Wallen is coming out on top here by a pretty good margin. Yeah, Morgan Wallen. Bad Bunny does really, really well when it comes to streaming, but Morgan Wallen. And then okay, now this I guarantee you this is going to be a quiz question. I guarantee this is going to be a quiz question. Come on, right? When you look at formats and how much, I know the numbers are teeny here, but when you look at formats and how much of the market share they take up in terms of like on-demand streaming and people actually purchasing albums, R&B, hip hop is the number one. When it comes to people paying for music, downloading music, streaming it, or buying the albums, R&B, hip hop is number one. Okay, if you're asked that question, what's the number one music format in terms of sales and streaming? It's R&B, hip hop. Might not be the same when it comes to format of radio stations. That's a different question. What is the most popular format of radio stations is a different question. We're talking here now about the music industry. And then we have rock, pop, country, Latin going down. But what it's interesting is that not all of these types of music are consumed in the same way. Now, here's a graphic. I know it's a lot of rainbow colors here, but I'll explain it. What the different colors illustrate are different ways of consuming music. R&B, hip hop, mostly 91% of it is coming from on-demand audio streams. Okay, and there's just a little bit that's coming from physical albums and very little bit coming from digital sales. But when you go to rock, rock has a pretty good chunk. A lot of, like, almost 14% of rock music is consumed through physical albums. That's older people, maybe people like me, buying Led Zeppelin, Molly Hatchet. Anyone remember Molly Hatchet? AC/DC. You guys must know AC/DC. Van Halen, all that stuff. Um, Jethro Tull. Okay. And then jazz. Jazz does even more. Yeah. Okay. Let's make this a quiz question. Which music format sells the most by percentage when it comes to albums? It's jazz. People who want jazz music are more inclined to buy an album, either a CD or vinyl, probably vinyl. Jazz music is very popular on vinyl and CD, as is rock music. But when you look at Latin music, yeah, Latin music that's Bad Bunny, right? And others, that's over 91%. So yeah, not all music is consumed in the same way. But this is current as of when I'm recording this. The song "Every Breath You Take," which sounds like a little creepy, like the guy's a stalker. Every breath you take, I'm watching you. That's like a stalker kind of thing. But that's a very, very popular song. And even if you don't know the band The Police, you probably know the song or some P. Diddy version of it. You know some version of it. Well, the other two guys, I don't even know their names. I just know they're like the other two guys in Police are suing Sting, saying they're not getting their fair share. Not surprising, not surprising. He's made a lot of money off that, and they're arguing, I think, that they had something to do with the creation of that song, and they should get paid a little bit. Okay, that's it. There's going to be one more question, and then we're going to maybe do a little bit of wrestling or something, some kind of wrestling thing at the end. I will say that the Latina woman, it's a thick Latina woman. I think I can say that, in all positive, meaning that in the most positive way, wearing this sort of the studded sex leather mask. She was the referee in the wrestling match. In the final match, the guys were like beating her up, hitting her and stuff like that. She finally had enough, and then she got into it. I wasn't quick enough with my phone to actually get video of it, but she finally got into it, body slams one of the guys, jumps up on the ropes, jumps down. The audience that was there for Lucha Libre screamed like I had never heard. People were just going crazy. It was one of the greatest things I've seen in live entertainment in years. And then she pretended to like pin all the wrestlers on the match. Okay, so I'm going to do one more question, maybe a little more wrestling video. And then now you're done with current stuff about the music industry. This is the final match. This is the final match, and my phone is dying. But I wanted to get a little bit of this. And anyway, this is the end of the video lecture. Current stuff about the music industry, JMS 200, fall 2025. Okay, that's what this is.
Esa es mi bandera, yo la levanto por donde quiera, verde, blanco, rojo hasta que muera, el barrio prendido ya quemó afuera. Me voy tendido, me voy empinando mi bote, un poco mareado por la bebida y el borlote, me tiene hasta la riata la gente con su mitote, pero me despreocupo, me pelan todo el garrote, me para la chota, ya exponía pariente.